Hari Om. Namaskaram to everyone. So verses 7 to 11, the second topic, talks about how Brahman, the reality, how does it manifest itself? So these 5 verses gives us an insight as to where you can locate Brahman, where all does it manifest. So it's very interesting, the line of thought he uses here. Many sections in the Gita, he approaches this way so that it helps us to locate Brahman, identify with the reality, associate with the truth. Now, the 7th verse, Gayatri, if I can just request you to show verse 7, please. Verse 7 said, there is nothing whatsoever higher than me, matta parataram nanyat kimchidasti dhananjaya. O Arjuna, O Dhananjaya, Jaya, you have won a lot of success and glory, and you have achieved everything, victory in the world, but you have failed to win the true self, which is the highest. There's nothing higher than that. So don't think. Can we have the verse, please? Why are we rushing into it? So he says, Matta parataram nanyat kimchidasti dhananjaya. The first line he says, there's nothing higher than the self. All this mai sarvam idam proktam. Everything is strung. Proktam means is strung on me. Sutre manigana iva. Just like rows of gems are strung on a sutre, on a string, everything is strung on to me like rows of gems. Thank you, Ma. So there's nothing higher than me. He makes a sweeping remark because he can't prove it to you. This is where you got to have an unflinching faith in the Guru. You got to have unquestionable faith in the truth these masters are saying. And they're saying there's nothing greater than this you can ever aspire to reach. And once you reach, you'll realize, you understand this is the highest. There's nothing greater than this. So there's nothing higher than, not only, now it's not just in reaching the goal, the sheer satisfaction you have in trying to reach the goal itself gives you that great advantage. In fact, it puts you on a vantage point. And I can very proudly say that I am on a vantage point, not without any ego, that I'm seeking the highest that is there to offer to humanity. I am attempting to get to the self. To the extent you're interested in the self, to that extent you will be disinterested in anything other than that. Remember that. This is how the law of life is, isn't it? If I'm interested in something, to that extent, there will be disinterest. Wherever you have your focus on, the rest will get out of focus. It loses its prominence, its significance to you. So just to inspire yourself to consider this as the very purpose of life, that in itself is a great possibility. You should consider the rest of your life You're committed to reaching this highest. There's nothing higher than this. And then he says, all this is strung on to me. Now, how do we understand that? Now, just a simple, I can put it in very simple terms, but I will try to complicate it, because that is the job of a guru, is to confuse you. So please allow me to confuse you a little bit. Now, the job of your, when I say the job, the sense organs, the physical body perceives. For example, your eyes sees the objects and beings. When your eyes perceive things, when your sense organs perceives the world, your mind and intellect cannot perceive or understand. It's just that the senses perceive. When your mind feels a variety of emotions, your body and intellect can't feel. It is the exclusiveness of the mind to feel. It is the exclusiveness of the body to perceive. So when your body perceives, your mind and intellect doesn't perceive. When your mind feels, the body and the intellect doesn't feel. When the intellect conceives, the body and the mind doesn't conceive. What I'm saying is, what your body does, your mind and intellect can't do. What your mind does, your body and intellect cannot do. What your intellect does, your body and mind cannot do. But yet, when you perceive, you say, I perceive. When you feel, you say, I feel. And when you conceive, you say, I conceive. How is it that there is this common factor when there are three different transactions of perceptions, emotions, and thoughts? Venkatramji, you are very confused, and I need to pat my back that I've done my job well so far.
Can I ask a question?
Is it a small question or big question? The way you are pointing out looks like a small question.
A small question only.
Yes, please.
But, yeah, Namaskar, Guruji.
Namaskar.
When you said the body and the mind, they are not in coordination, is it for common people like us, or if somebody who has achieved the stage of absolute self-realization, there is a perfect coordination between all these three?
No, I'm not talking of coordination here. I'm talking about the exclusiveness of each organ.
No, that is where my this thing was, that mind is exclusive of body and body is exclusive. That is where I'm coming. So if somebody has reached that stage, obviously, will it be, he will try to sync all of that in one line or something like that? That is where the confusion is. So you have confused me. Sorry, please.
No, the objective was not to strike a chord with the different organs or different functions.
Okay.
I was just trying to establish that these are three different transactions. You continue to perceive, you continue to feel, you continue to engage your intellect, isn't it? In every transactions. But when you conceive something, your body doesn't perceive, because your intellect is conceiving an idea. But there is no physicality for your eyes to perceive it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm only talking about what your actions the body does, your mind and intellect doesn't do. What your mind does, your body and intellect doesn't do. What your intellect does, your body and mind doesn't do, because there's an exclusiveness to it.
Oh.
All right. But when you're perceiving, what do you say? I am seeing, I am hearing, I am touching, etc. Isn't it?
Yes.
When you feel a variety of emotions, you say, I feel happy, I feel elated, I feel little dejected. Yes. You feel a variety of emotions. And at times you say, I understand what you're saying. And as you just started, you said, I'm a little confused. But then how is it that you are saying it's the same I is doing everything?
Okay.
Body, mind, and intellect are three different operations. But yet, when you are going through these three operations, what are you doing? You're saying, I. So what am I getting at, sir? I'm just trying to explain the second half of the verse. He says, all of this is strung onto me as rows of gems on a string. So all these are different transactions, different facets of life, but there is a common thread underlying, supporting, something that permeates everything. What is that? It is the I, the Atman. So the whole thing is strung onto me through the constant factor, the I. That is what I'm trying to get at. Now, when you are a waker, you say, I am the waker. When you go to sleep, you say you are a dreamer, and then you say, I am the deep sleeper. It is the same I that is there in the waking dream and deep sleep. When you're a child, you said you're a child, you're a boy, you said you're a boy, you're a youth, you said you're a youth, you're a man, you said you're a man. When you become old, you would say, I'm an old man. It is the same I, yet the boy is not the child, is not the youth, is not the man, is not the old man. These are all are changing factors. Every experience is changing, yet there is a changeless substratum that is strung onto this. Everything that's changing is strung onto that changeless substratum. That is what he's saying. I am that truth. The truth never leaves you. Seek that truth, man. Go beyond the gems and identify with the string. And that's what these masters constantly say. I am that I am. Now, since I'm using the phrase I, the word, the alphabet I, or rather I am, the words I am equals pure consciousness. Remember that. The words I am represents the pure consciousness. That pure consciousness is the reality, is the truth, is the Brahman. But when you say, I am so and so, I am feeling, I am excited, I am dash. When you qualify the I am, what happens? The I am, which is the pure consciousness, becomes conditioned consciousness. It's just technical, but it's very, very powerful argument. I am is the pure consciousness. It remains pure and unconditioned, which is the truth, which has been, which will continue to be with you in every experience of your life. Every minute you are saying, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am an Indian. I am an Asian. I am a Hindu. I am a Christian. I am a Catholic. I am a Brahmin. I am a sportsman. Every time you use the word I am. So what are you doing? What are we doing? We are qualifying the pure consciousness with something. And that which conditions and qualifies the pure I am creates the conditioned consciousness, which is the individual, which is the jiva, which is you, the ego, which is what you are. The ego, the individual I am, is the conditioned consciousness, and the conditioned consciousness which I announce myself to the world is nothing but distortion of the pure consciousness. You're distorting it by qualifying it with your Venkatramanji, what are you qualifying with?
Qualifying with saying that I am happy, or I am a sports person, or I am whatever it is.
But what is it that's qualifying the I am?
The ego, that is what is getting qualified by.
Having qualified, it creates the ego. But my question is, what is it that's qualifying the pure I am?
What is qualifying the pure I am? The conditioned consciousness, what you spoke about?
The qualified individual is conditioned consciousness.
Okay.
But my question is, what is it that's qualifying the pure I am? When you remove that qualifying agent, the pure I am remains as it is, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Now the question is, what is that distorting, qualifying, conditioning agent?
What I am, I mean, I don't know the exact word.
I understand. No. My job is to make you think, sir. Is just to get you all thinking. That's all. I know you have it. I know you all have it. That which qualifies, as Padmini Ma has put it rightly, so it is the vasanas or the desires or your own thoughts.
Okay.
So what is it that creates the individual is the qualifying agent. Sir, water is colorless, is it not?
Yes.
Based on what qualifies it, it becomes either Coke or it becomes
Juice or whatever it is.
a mango juice, or it could be an orange juice, or it could Roo of Za. What is Roo of Za? It's another juice with all various concentrated syrups added into that colorless, tasteless water, isn't it?
Yes.
Water is colorless, tasteless, yet it is that which qualifies it. So he says, so what are we all? We are all the different appearances because of the different conditioning, qualifying agents that we all are, which is defining us by the nature of your thoughts and desires and vasanas. I change the complexion of my nature, of my vasanas, I am a different person. A sick man is sick because of his sick vasanas. A healthy man is healthy because of his healthy vasanas. A happy man is happy because of his vasanas to be happy and cheerful. A morose man is morose because of his vasanas to be morose. An active person is active because of his vasanas for dynamic life. A lazy vasanas, lazy life. But none of it has got anything to do with the Atman. Atman is not lazy, Atman is not morose, Atman is not brilliant, Atman is not lively, Atman is pure and immaculate. So you need to switch our attention from the qualifying agent to the pure consciousness. Oh, Dhananjaya, you all have been successful in the world, but realize that true success is in knowing that real self, because there is nothing greater than that. And all what you're doing is strung onto me. I am that self, the I. We do not know the self, but that we know is the I am. That I am is the truth which is constantly accompanying you every minute, every moment. But what are we comfortably, conveniently, ignorantly doing? Qualifying it, conditioning it, distorting it, and destroying it. And we are completely ignorant about what we are doing. And this is what the master is saying. Realize, alas, alas. We don't understand. I also don't understand. Only in this classroom I'll talk. Beyond that, I am also distorting. I am also qualifying. I am talking. What are you doing? I am talking on the Gita. Am I able to capture I am without saying I'm talking on the Gita? Even talking on the Gita also is qualifying the I am, isn't it? I am a philosopher. Again, I'm going to make that most powerful, the most controversial statement. Therefore, you have to say, I have got nothing to do with these conditioning elements. I have nothing to do with these conditioning elements, and I have got everything to do with the self. So when we say I have got nothing to do with the lower, it only means I have got everything to do with the higher, my dear. Don't misunderstand. I don't want to be bound by the smallness. I want to embrace the fullness. That's all it means. Asanga Shastrena. You've got to approach this with a spirit of detachment. Now, well, that's not the spirit here. He's only saying everything is strung onto me. And the next few verses, he's actually going to enumerate what is it that is strung onto him. Everything, but he just gives a few salient aspects which are strung onto him. Let's say it's very, very interesting. So let's take up the 8th verse. Rasohamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayoho pranava sarva vedeshu shabdha ke paurusham rushu. Rasohamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayoho pranava sarva vedeshu Shabdha ke paurusham rushu. So he starts, O Kaunteya, Arjuna, lend me thy ears. Listen to me. I am the sapidity in the waters, Rasaha. I am the radiance in the sun and the moon. I am the Pranava, the syllable Om in all the Vedas. Sarva Vedeshu. The sound, the Shabda. I am the sound in space. Paurusham Nrishu. I am the manhood. I am the virility in men. It's like saying I am a femininity in a woman. That's all it means. So what makes a woman is a femininity. What makes a man is his virility. I am the sapidity in the waters and the radiance in the sun and the moon. I am the syllable Om in the Vedas, sound and space. So he continues. So before we continue the enumeration, let's understand what he's saying here. So he's only enumerating some of his manifestations so that we understand, as I've said, the topic 7 to 11 is giving where Brahman manifests itself. Where is it manifesting? These are the enumerations. So sapidity in the water. What do you understand by saying the sapidity in the water? Ashama. Okay. Sitaramji, what do you mean sapidity in the waters?
Well, actually, I did not know the word, so I just quickly Googled it. It's a flavorness in the water.
I know you were doing that. That's the reason I asked you.
Because I didn't know, but I'd not heard before. And
but
I was not sure. So it's a
but
flavorness.
you have the art of freezing your camera also, huh?
Sorry.
Your picture is frozen.
Not really. I am fine with the picture.
Oh, maybe at our end, actually your picture is frozen. But however,
no.
So the sapidity in the waters. What did you say?
It's flavorness. The flavor
Sorry?
in the water. The flavor in the water. The taste in the water which is there. The flavor.
The flavor, the rasa, the rasa in the water. Without that, water has no real taste, isn't it? Hmm? For example, anything dehydrated has no taste. Hmm? It's the saliva actually that gives the taste. That's the importance, of saliva, So when he says, I am the sapidity in the waters, it means that I am the quintessence. So all the enumeration, in every enumeration he is going to mention, it is the quintessence in everything, without which it is not what it is. I am the radiance in the sun and the moon. The sun represents the direct light. The moon represents the indirect light. I am that which gives radiance to these luminaries. What do you mean? I am that essential principle behind these. That's in fact, it's in the context. We have referred to it in different times. But as you know, a traditional Orthodox temple, the sanctum sanctorum, where the deity is kept, is intentionally left dark. The rest of the temple is quite brightly lit, but the sanctum sanctorum is left dark. And the symbolic representation of that is that you have not realized the self. You do not know your God. You do not know yourself. And the only source of light in the sanctum sanctorum is there's a lamp that is lit right throughout. That lamp never goes off. And the pujari takes a piece of camphor, he lights the camphor with that lamp, and he does the arati. And when the arati is being done, that is when the people have the darshan of the Lord. And while the arati is being done, there is a mantra from the Vedas that's chanted to symbolize something. No. Rajima, you know the mantra, no?
Yes, Guruji.
Gaye.
न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्नि तमेव भान्तम् अनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वम् इदं विभाति.
This is the verse that is chanted while the arati is being done. Now you please give us the meaning also. I don't know the meaning. I don't expect you decode it. We can't do that. Huh?
Basically, it says, Guruji, that the light of the sun, Chandra Tarakam, or from the moon, stars, there's no comparison to your light. Even in the fire, in the Agni.
Yeah. See what that mantra suggests. The sun, the moon, the stars, all these luminaries cannot illumine you. What can this little inconspicuous, insignificant light of camphor illumine you? And you are chanting this mantra while that camphor lit lamp is actually illumining, you're having the darshan of the Lord, just to symbolize how insignificant this whole exercise is, how dark the self is, how ignorant we are. In fact, even to draw the analogy into science, there, when the astronauts, when they first went to space, when astronauts first went to space and they looked down onto Earth, what did they see? Any idea? Sanjay? The astronauts went right up to the space from the moon. When they looked down onto Earth, no idea? All right, no problem. Badriji.
For the first time, a human being saw the curvature of the earth. Without going into space, you cannot see the curvature of the earth. So you got a different perspective of the earth, which could not be obtained at any other level. So that is the first time they saw the curvature of the earth.
All right, now that's being certainly what they experienced, they saw, but in the context of what we are talking about is the source of light, the sun, the moon, and the symbolism we extended to the sanctum sanctorum, etc. Right.
Right.
Now I'm drawing an analogy and said, compared to this. So when the astronauts went up and they looked down onto Earth, it was total darkness, except
The
that
reflected
part
light,
of
the reflected light. Yeah.
except the light that reflected from that hemisphere of the Earth, they could see, which you say as the curvature. It was bright and brilliant, dazzling. But what is the point I'm making here? There is light everywhere, but there was total darkness from the spacecraft to the Earth, but they didn't see the light. Light was everywhere. What you see is only reflected light, my dear. You don't see pure light. Pure light, therefore, is darkness. You've got to come to terms with science. Pure light equals darkness. What you see, if I were to, okay, I ask this question, Badriji, I'll have to leave you there. I'll bring Sanjay here. Sanjay, what is it that you see?
I see Nandi.
Okay. Apart from the description of the object, what is it that you see in the context of the discussion?
Okay. I see the object because the light is reflecting from it. My set, yeah.
Absolutely right. Perfect. What you're seeing is the light which is reflected on the object. So what you see is the object plus light, isn't it? Now I remove the object. Do you see the light? There's enough light between the camera and me. There's enough light. That's why you're able to see me. Isn't it? So therefore, pure light or pure consciousness is something which cannot be captured. What you perceive, what you captured is reflected light, is conditioned consciousness. So what he is saying is, I am that which gives life to the very light itself, which is to the very sun and the moon. So I am the very essential principle in that very light itself. So he goes to a very, to a point of fault. He says, you fail to realize that, but I am that. I am that essential element in the very sun itself, which is giving the radiance, which is staggering, isn't it? Which is, if you really are, you really get emotional. You really, get overwhelmed with trying to attune to that self. And he says, I am that. That was very, very good answer, Sanjay. Very nice. The object plus light. Very good. Right. And moving on, and then he says, I am the pranava. This pranava is the syllable om in all the Vedas. A, U, Om. You put these three, you dissect the syllable Om, you get A, U, A is the sound from the guttural, the very bottom of your throat. If you, all of you say and put your finger on your throat here, you see the vibration coming here. You say ooh, there's nothing happening. When you say ooh and put, nothing is happening. Ooh is the mediocre, the middle. Is when the lips are closed. So ooh, Om covers the entire range of sound. All sound, there's no sound before the guttural, there's no sound after the lips are closed. So it Om represents all sound. And sound is the subtlest because only one sense organ can contact sound, which is ear. So when he says, I am the syllable Om in the Vedas, I am that idol which represents the ideal. I am that symbol which represents the ideal. So the Om represents the truth, the self. There are many idols you can have, but no better idol than the syllable Pranava, the symbol Om. It reminds you of the self. Okay. And then I am the manhood in men. I am the courage, the Purushatvam. The Purushatvam is the quality of a man to explore the unknown, to venture into the unknown and explore. That is the capacity of a man. So he says, I am that virility. I am that Purushatvam in a man. Just like as I've said, I am the femininity in a woman. There is a certain characteristics of a woman. There are certain characteristics of man. So if you have if a man has no virility, you are like a woman. Now there's no disregard to a woman, and it's not putting them inferior or so. But now this one quote I am quoting, which will get me into trouble. I'm afraid I'm getting into trouble. Rajima, please forgive me. Because I'm quoting the famous Shakespeare. None of it is mine. I'm only borrowing. You know, I don't know which play. I think it was in the play Hamlet. Hamlet tells to his mother, if I'm not wrong. Harishji, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm quoting correctly. He says, frailty, thy name is woman, he says. Frailty, thy name is woman. Hamlet is the right source, Harishji? You need to unmute, sir, please.
I'm not certain whether it was Macbeth or Hamlet.
Macbeth. Yeah, you can get it in a minute. In a minute, you'll get it. Yeah, please, no issues. But he says there, frailty, thy name is woman. So it is the characteristics of a woman to become emotional. It is not the characteristics of man. So he says, I am that quality in a man. Ushama
right.
strongly.
It is Hamlet.
It is Hamlet. Hamlet tells Hamlet comments against his mother, because Hamlet's uncle, get into the story, you'll know the story, but I think it's Hamlet who tells to his mother, frailty, thy name is a woman, he says. So these are characteristics. So you can always prove it wrong, but it is the nature of a woman to Women are more possessive in nature. Women are more attached because the outward nature of a man, he used to go out into the, let's say, if you take a life of a fisherman, he would go into the open seas, into the unexplored, uncharted waters, dive deep into the sea, get the fish, catch, and bring to the house. The lady in the house would prepare food, protect the family, provide for the family, take care of the family. So that was perhaps the makeup. No, nowadays it's other way also is possible, because there are people more feminine in men and more virility in women. So that also is there. So it is not a gender based. It is just a constitution. What kind of a constitution they have? So it is no disregard to anything. Yeah, Venkatramji.
So even in Hindi also, if you see, Rashtrakavi Maithili Sharan Gupta describes Nari as Abla. Abla Nari hai teri yahi kahani. Maithili Sharan Gupta is this famous, he is a national Rashtrakavi, we call him as Rashtrakavi.
Right.
Even in, in the Indian context by famous poets and all. Again, it is a controversial one, but he also says Abla Nari yahi teri kahani.
What does the word abla mean?
Abla also in some form or the other talks about the frailty, bit of it, weakness, or slightly weak and stuff like that.
Sir, all the ladies are staring at you. Watch out. Huh?
No, they can, but they also have read. Most of us who have read Hindi, in our earlier childhood. Again, it becomes controversial in this context. But I'm just telling you, that is Maithili Sharan Gupta, who is a very famous, writer and poet. But yes, it is controversial. No, I mean, in this context today.
No, it is not demeaning them. It's not disrespecting them. It's not putting them a lower pedestal. It's just describing of their natural disposition. They are emotional by nature. They are protective by nature. They are possessive by nature. But it can happen that men could have those qualities as well. So there's nothing right or wrong about it, So.
But yeah, I find women to be more emotionally balanced than men. My experiences. I mean, if I look around, they are much more emotionally balanced than men.
Yes, I would certainly agree with you. It's not a branding. We're not trying to brand. We're trying to understand it. Okay. Yes, sir, perfect. Thank you for that. Yes, Badriji, Bulliye sir.
I was reminded of what I learned in school. There was a quotation of Rabindranath Tagore. There was a lesson on Tagore, and he said that both men and women seek fulfillment in life. Women seek it through bandhan, through attachments, which is what you said, and men seek it through mukti. So he said that is the essential nature of men and women. So it is not a question of...
So there's a pun on the word mukti. Huh? Mukti from what is the question?
Mukti from samsara bandhana.
Mukti from the bondage they got into. That's the thing. No, some women are praying. No, right. There's a poetical license they have to convey certain things, but there's no disrespect, certainly. All right. So let's move on. Verse 9, please. Punyo gandha pruthivyam cha tejaschasmi vibhavasau jivanam sarva bhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu. Punyo gandha pruthivyam cha tejaschasmi vibhavasau jivanam sarva bhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu. He continues, he says, I am the sweet fragrance in the earth, punyo gandha pruthivyam. I am the sweet fragrance the brilliance in the fire. I am the life in all beings. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu. Tapaschasmi tapasvishu. I would want you all to underline this last two words. Tapaschasmi tapasvishu. We were talking about tapas yesterday in the Upanishad class. I am the austerity in the ascetics. What is the use? What is the point if an ascetic doesn't practice austerity? It is that lifeline, it is the lifeblood, it is the quintessence. You take away the austerity from an ascetic, he is zero. A pseudo ascetic you are. If you remove the austerity, you are a man only wearing robes. You don't have to wear a robe, but if you practice austerity, you are the real ascetic. So of all the elements, earth is the grossest, as we understand. Space, air, fire, water, earth, So when he says, I am the sweet fragrance in the earth, it is only the earth that has this odor. It is the attribute of the earth to have this odor of fragrance. What, Rajima?
We say earthy fragrance, Guruji. When it rains, there's an earthy fragrance,
Especially after one of the first showers, after a long summer, the earth is scorched with heat. And when the first few showers, the fragrance of the earth you feel, isn't it? Am I right? Am I referring to the right thing? Are you saying the same thing, Rajima? The punyo gandha, So only nose. Yes, Rajima?
Also, Guruji, when the cows come home after at dusk, there's that godhul. That fragrance also is the smell of the earth.
Right. Oh, we don't get that experience often enough to relate to, but very much. And Ashama is putting it in her ever so beautiful Hindi way, in a Hindi language, mitti ka khushbu. Yes, very nice. So the punya, and then he says, it is the sweet fragrance. That fragrance of the earth, he says, is sweet. Now, why does he say sweet? Now, there is a technical problem here. Again, you may be saying, sir, you're overanalyzing. Why don't you keep moving on? But I wouldn't want to, because everything has a beauty in it. So when you say sweetness, what is the opposite of sweetness? Reddy Garu?
Pranam Guruji. It could be sour.
Sorry, sir?
It could be sour. Opposite to the sweet is a bitter.
Sweet and sour.
Yeah.
Now, when you use the word sour, it has a certain negative connotation, isn't it?
Yes, Guruji.
But when you use the word sweet, it has a positive connotation. Strictly speaking, it's not correct.
Even the fragrance, we have both, Guruji. It could be a good fragrance.
Pleasant fragrance or an unpleasant fragrance.
Unpleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still going with the fragrance, the sweet fragrance in the earth, So when you say it is pleasant, means it's a positive connotation. When you say sour, it has an unpleasant connotation. But strictly speaking, when he says, I am the sweet fragrance, The reason he says sweet is because you have a positive association of thought. That's the reason he says. But technically speaking, it's not wrong. It is actually wrong to say Brahman is sweet, not sour. Technically speaking, it's not right.
Guruji, Brahman could be above all. Is it?
Correct. The Brahman is nothing to do with the, what is the famous reference to this context we learn in Bhajagovindam?
I don't.
No idea. All right, no issue. Who remembers it? In Bhajagovindam, we talk of it. Brahman or reality is above the world. Now, what is the characteristics of the world in the context? Okay, at least you answer this question and you'll be able to follow the line of thought. Now, what is the characteristics of the world here? Ramji, what is the characteristics of the world?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskar,
I think the world is qualified in many ways, in the sense that the world is sweet, bitter, or pleasant, or unpleasant, or flavored, unflavored, whatever way it has many qualifications. While Brahman, which is above all this, has no qualifications, in the sense that it is formless, tasteless. I mean, there is no way of qualifying the Brahman. While the world has many qualification parameters. Let's say.
If you were to go beyond what you said as qualification, an apt way of describing the world in the context is world is made up of opposites. You get sweet and sour, pleasant, unpleasant, profit, loss, birth, death, heat, cold, etc. Isn't it? Everything in the world is opposites.
Yeah, correct.
So when he uses the description that I am the sweet fragrance, you're qualifying Brahman and bringing down God to a terrestrial description.
Correct.
But God is beyond the pairs of opposites.
Correct.
That's the reason when you see Lord Ganesha, what is it that conveys it? God is beyond the pairs of opposites. And when you look at an idol of Lord Ganesha, which part of the idol signifies this? If you are able to see the Ganesha behind me also, there is, but it would be a little difficult to catch. But any Ganesha you see, it is, unless the architect was not in a good mood, he would have said, no, I will go ahead with it. I don't agree. So he would have decided otherwise.
So you're asking which aspect of Ganesha idol is signifying the
beyond the opposites.
Beyond the opposite.
No, Rajima, what are you doing? You're giving leads. No leads allowed here. Ushama, Teriyama.
Namaste, Guruji. Is it the broken tusk, Guruji?
It is the broken tusk, yes. If the tusks are two, which is a pair.
Yeah.
So one broken symbolizes he has transcended the pairs of opposites of the world. So every aspect of these gods and goddesses are so rich in this philosophical message they convey, but when you understand it, it lifts your ability to attune to what what they are representing. Otherwise, it becomes a blind worship.
Yeah. But one question, Guruji, is this,
Yes, please.
the shloka actually says Punyo Gandha. Punya, I mean, whatever Sanskrit, I don't know. It means Punya is not sweetness. Punya is talking of something pious or holy or something like that.
So that's the richness of the Sanskrit language. If you go into the depth of that word, it has many broad descriptions. No? So punya also means righteousness.
Correct.
In fact, the verse in the Bhajagovindam I was trying to draw attention to, are you able to recall the mantra?
No, Guruji. I think only Rajima knows all the Bhagavad by heart.
Yes, Rajima. Setuji also knows, sir. Setuji.
Setuji also knows.
Setuji will be, he's our moving Bhajagovindam.
I know Guruji by heart sequentially.
Oh, there's a starting problem, sir. So, okay, we'll start. Bhaja Govindam. Then we'll come to the verse which we are looking at. Which is the verse? The verse which says Punya Apunya Vivarjita Pantaha. No, it's not the first verse.
21st.
21st. No, 21st verse talks of the bondage. 1 minute. And Sanjay, you know the verse? Anybody who knows the verse, please. You please refer to the text, So the message
It's
there
22.
also says 22.
Yes, Guruji. Rathya charpata virajita kantaha punya punya vivarjita pantaha yogi yoga niyojita chitto ramate balon mattavadeva.
Correct. Perfect. So verse 22. Let's chant. Rathya charpata virachita kantaha punya punya vivarjita pantaha yogi yogani yojita chitto ramate balon mattavadeva. So here the translation, thanks to Gayatri Ma. Podungo. He says that a sage who wears a shawl, Godhadhi, and then he says, whose path is beyond the merit and demerit. This is the line. Punya apunya vivarjita panthaha. Yogi yogani yojita chittaha. Ramate balon mattavadeva. The rest of the verse is in a different context, but here he puts it that it is the path beyond the good and the bad. So the Brahman or the reality has got nothing to do with the punya or apunya. It has got nothing to do with the good or the bad. The path is selfless. It is not selfish or unselfish. So that's the reason I said it is strictly not right. But however, the reason why it is being said is you associate with the positive. Okay. And then he says, I am the life in all beings. I am that living principle. I am that life-giving element. Because of which everything bristles into activity. What is it that gives life is the consciousness. I am that life-giving element. Without me, there is no life. So he says, I am the life in all beings. And lastly, he says, I am the austerity in the ascetics. Tapas, tapaschasmi, tapasvishu. How much ever, I think there's one thing I will never get tired of talking is tapas. The day I've got tired of this, that day I will genuinely quit this path. That is when I am not what I'm saying is it should it vibrates, it speaks volumes. That very word, the moment you it's like every time if you were to hold a live wire, you'll get electric, isn't it? It's like that. You get a jolt. So it is that life element of an ascetic is to have that austerity, the austerity in the ascetics. And tapas, again, I'm reiterating what was briefly mentioning here, but it was discussed in great detail yesterday in the Upanishad class, where he in fact says tapas, tapa, dhamma, and karma are its foundations. He says. The Upanishad verse podungama. Kadikuma. Kenopanishad.
Kenopanishad. Okay.
The 8th mantra, part 4. Tapodama karmeti pratishtha veda sarvangani satyamayatanam. Finished. Or stroke is finished. He says, Tapodama karmeti pratishtha. Pratishtha, the pratishtha, the edifice of Brahman is these three qualities. Tapa, Dhamma, the edifice of Brahma Vidya, perfect ma. Tapaha, austerity, Dhamma, restraint, karma, action are its foundation. Veda sarvangani. The Vedas are its limbs. Anga, satyamayatanam. The truth is its abode. I think it's not difficult to by heart this one line. Tasyai tapodamah karmeti pratishtha veda sarvangani satyamayatanam. You may not have to chant it, but at least by heart it. Tasyai tapodamah karmeti pratishtha veda sarvangani satyamayatanam. My hair stands on end. You get that. jolt. You get that vibe. You have to feel it. So what is this tapaha? What is this austerity? Tapaha or austerity, as we need to understand, is the capacity to withdraw from any activity which derails your association with the higher, dislodges your association with the higher. So it is a capacity to withdraw from any activity, a conscious withdrawal, so that you are able to conserve the dissipation of your mental resources, a conscious withdrawal so that you don't dissipate your energy into unproductive channels. And once you have withdrawn, you create a mental climate, your mind is available so that you are redirecting it towards the higher attainment of the goal. So you cannot embark on a spiritual journey without having this fundamental quality of practicing tapas. And as you evolve, you will start withdrawing and withdrawing and withdrawing. Either you have it in you, you're blessed if you have it. And one who has this quality of tapas is known as an introverted person. You're automatically introverted. I don't know whether Venkatramanji, whether you've heard it. You know, I keep talking about my early days. When I was very young, I don't know whether you heard from me or in the classes ever. I never used to attend to any of my extended family functions or gatherings or any party, or never I used to attend. So much so my parents used to constantly tell me, if you don't attend, nobody will come for your marriage. When you get married, nobody will come to you because you have not gone, nobody will come to you. And so much so my cousins and uncles and aunts and nephew, all these people used to actually tease me. How come you're here? You're at the wrong place, you know? So this used to be a constant remark I used to be, you know, casually they used to say, because never I seen. And now only after getting into the knowledge, I could relate to why I was like that. People thought something was wrong with me. You know? And are you able to connect these two, Venkatramanji?
Yes. Yes.
And what is that which makes you that way? Makes one that way? As I've just said.
Makes, no, in the sense I did not get the question. Makes that way?
What makes one to withdraw from those activities? I find even now it's a colossal waste of time to attend any functions or gatherings or these marriages. Is a colossal waste of time. Unless you're obligated and you have to go, you go. You said, I have to, I am compulsed, you know, I am obliged. Thereafter, you're actually a fish. I find myself fish out of water. I don't know how people are excited, enthused, and awaiting invitations. Oh, this is a bad month for me because no events are happening.
So maybe you feel that there is, you are looking at some higher things and probably you feel that they are very mundane and they don't add any value or something like that.
Yes, very much, very much. I found them very mundane. And what, as I said, once you're of an introverted nature, you wouldn't want to, you know, you wouldn't want to. Even I was there in Malaysia, Singapore for over a decade. I spent time there, but I have never ever traveled. I only used to travel and see places because of people, family and friends who visited us. To take them around, I used to go. But I have myself never went. And the constant complaint Vijay used to have is, what is this? You know, we are here, I've not traveled. We can see the region, we could travel the world. Not that a complaint, but you know, she understood my nature, but perhaps, you know, go a little out and experience. It was very difficult for me to do that.
But it is very tough. At least I can tell you, while you know we need to balance it in a multiple activities. But if you are in a family, then you know there are certain expectations too.
Very, very much. You know, it is indeed a balance to respect other person's personality, and you got to play a certain dynamics. But there is no natural calling, I'm saying. So if you take the innate natural calling to it, it doesn't exist, and there's something great about it. I'm only trying to relate to what it is. So what I find that a colossal waste. Sometimes, you know, I keep teasing Vijay once in a while whenever something comes. Hey, some, you know, you have this travel channels, you know, travel show, and then there's something that they keep giving you a beautiful tour of that city, and they give you a beautiful insight into all that can be experienced. You get a balloon from the, you know, hot air balloon, or different perspectives of that city. I say, you fulfill your desire now only. Huh? You see, now only done. Now you're seen, no? That's it. This city is cancelled from the list. If at all there's a list. Wow, I feel very sorry when I say that, but Chuma, I keep joking, you know. Okay, you have seen, done, what more? Same thing, go and see, stand in front of the Eiffel Tower. Same tower is being seen. See here, get done with it, done, job done. For that, you have to go all the way there to see it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Maniji is saying easy to take sannyasa. It is the most difficult to take sannyasa, Maniji.
We can't.
It's not easy, not very easy.
And we will be unfair also to the family if you do that at this point of time. You will not discharge your duties, or I would say, we can't abandon and say that, okay, now I am going on a path like this.
Correct. No, it's not. It is not to, once you have made a choice, you have a bounden duty.
Exactly.
You got to do that. Then don't abandon. See, spirituality doesn't talk about abandoning your duties in the name of renunciation.
Exactly.
In the name of renunciation or detachment, don't abandon your duties. In fact, in the short note that was intentionally written and sent, it was shared in the group. If you abandon a duty in the name of detachment, it's tamas.
Yes.
So it is not tamas. Vedanta doesn't prescribe abandoning your duties in the name of spirituality. It's only embracing higher values. And then you lose the value for the lower. That's what is important, you know. So I was narrating this experience, Venkataramanji, and then there are two qualities in the Gita. Thank you, Ji. There are two qualities in the Gita which actually endorse this. The qualities in the Gita which says are, he says, distaste for crowd, he says. A spiritual man will have a distaste for crowd. And then he says he resorts to a solitary place. Not that he hates crowded places, but he prefers to be a loner in solitude. These are the qualities which start surfacing, which start showcasing in a person who is a true tapasvi. The moment you talk of tapas, a tapasvi, ashrama, you know, in the old movies we would have seen, isn't it? What is the visualization of a tapas, a man who's doing tapas?
In the Himalayas?
Wherever. But how would they have portrayed that person? मूवी तो देखे होंगे आपके टाइम में?
नहीं, बहुत कम.
उसमें भी एक दो आ जाएंगे. I'm sure there would be one or two rishis who would have appeared in those movies those days. Nowadays, nobody comes.
No.
Those days, I'm sure.
I've
Okay,
not
but I'm
seen.
okay, but I'm sure you will relate to what I'm saying. You know, the stories or the picturization of a muni or a rishi who's doing tapas is literally a person, you know, who's standing on his one leg, you know, with his arms stretched out doing namaskar. And literally he is transfixed in that position. Ant hill would have been constructed around him. Even ants thought it's some kind of a structure there, and they built an ant hill around him. And he is there behind, and what's resonated? Oh, he's doing tapas. Oh, one more time I'll chant. Oh, and the next scene will be jung 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 jing 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 dang dang dung. Something will happen. What? An angel or a damsel from the heavens, Indra says, go and disturb this fellow's tapas, and then the lady will be dancing around this man. These, how many times have you not seen in any older movies? Correct, huh? Rajima, correct, isn't it? I mean, I don't dramatize that well, but at least I've conveyed what it is, the scene. You don't believe me, rewind 40, 50 years and see any movie, you will find and somewhere very soon there'll be a scene. But what it is this tapas is where they have consciously withdrawn from the world. Now, you and I, now what most important thing is, it is not an exclusivity of certain people, please. It's not meant for people of that caliber who can cut off from the world, go into the woods and live like that. It is meant for you and me to practice being a grihastha, being a man in action. You will need to instill this principle of withdrawing from activities which is non-essential. That is real growth and maturity, isn't it? You can't be doing things which you did in the past. They become trivial, frivolous. They become insignificant. They become childish, isn't it? You know, there are certain things acceptable if a child does. It is not acceptable as a grown and adult, you do it. Similarly, a spiritually evolved person, you are expected to have a certain glow, an aura, a certain grace, a certain quality. You can't stoop to certain frivolous activity. Don't be childish, you know, like a balavat, like a child. So the tapas is to consciously withdraw from activities which are non-essential, dissipative in nature, and having conserved the energy, you redirect it to the higher. Therefore, he says, I am the tapaschasmi, tapasvishu. I am the austerity in the ascetics. So you need to keep enhancing this quality of tapas. The moment that falters, that drops, your spiritual progression halts. And just to assure ourselves, if Gita is not the authority, you have got the authority from the Kenopanishad, which says tapa, dhamma, karma are the foundation of the edifice of Brahma Vidya. In what way you apply it, where you apply it, is for you to find out. For you to figure it out. Okay. I think Keshav Reddy Garu wants to comment something. Yes, I'll be happy to hear from you, and then we'll conclude.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar. Yes, sir.
Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, at the age of 16 plus, he left home and came to Tiruvannamalai on 1st September 1896. And he threw what little money he had into a lake and sweets into a thread and torn his dhoti, and also only wore it a kaupinam or something like that.
Lion cloth, yeah.
And a lion cloth, and went into, he was in temple, and he was secluded place. He was all alone and all that. When people were disturbing him, he went to Patal Linga within the temple of Arunachala, where the insects bite him and all that. And he never bothered, he was not body consciousness. And one Swamiji by name Sheshadri Swami, who knew that here is a Bala Swami, very great, this thing at the age of 18, 19, he is doing so much of tapas. So he advised somebody to take him away from there because the insects are eating him, he doesn't know. I mean, he's not body consciousness. Then he was taken out forcibly, somebody lifted him. And again, of course, he was living all alone, secludedly. He went into a guha. It is called Virupaksha Guha. He was living on the mountain in a gufa, a cave or something like that for about 17, 18 years. When his mother came also, he was in a guha. And only after some time when mother passed away, he came down from the hill and then an ashram was established. And all along his life, he was on lion cloth. And even that one lion cloth, when it was torn, he went into behind a bush, took out a thread from that and took a piece of mullu, I mean thorn, and then made it a needle and stitched that. He never asked anything from anyone. So that was tapas, I mean, of the recent times. It's not centuries ago, until very 50, I mean, about 70, 80 years ago, it was like that. And one more.
Yeah, yes, please. Please, yeah.
Guruji said, I am, that is I am. So one lady by name Khanna from North India, her husband was a great devotee of Bhagwan. And they said, Bhagwan, I am with family, so many children, I can't do any tapas, I can't do dhyanam, I can't do meditation, but I am helpless. Say I. You will always remember I. That is God, that is tapas. You only think, whatever you are thinking, I, that is tapas. That is God. That is dhyana.
I wish it is as easy and as simple as you put it so beautifully, Keshav Reddy Garu. When you get to the reality, our attachments, desires, vasanas, our extrovertedness makes it very, very challenging. And it is the greatness of these men, extraordinary souls. And this land is blessed. India is blessed because of such great men. Periodically throughout history, history has been intercepted by these great souls coming and uplifting humanity. So we bow down to their great wisdom, and that's why there's so much that for us to learn and emulate. And as you rightly said, the great Ramana Maharshi's life was personification of tapas. So it's a very tall ask to get to that level. So, but we should try to practice the quality to the level we are, because if you try to go beyond our level, it will do considerable damage and harm, because we must not try to be beyond our capacity in anything for that matter. We emulate them, we look up to them, but you got to operate at our level and try to strive to be greater than that. We can't try to assume or belong to a state where we are not. So much appreciate, Keshavji. It was
thank you so
thank you. So there you go. So there's enough reiteration on the importance of the quality of austerity. So we'll come back and we'll take, in fact, be prepared. If you can read through verses 10 and 11, it's something so subtle, very beautiful construction, very unique. So when we come back next week, we'll go through verses 10 and 11. Right? Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.